Russell Walker.
BBC Radio York. So this afternoon we're going to meet a successful North Yorkshire author. David Lyons' book, The Modfather, My Life with Paul Weller, has been ravely reviewed, especially by Paul Weller himself, actually. Nice, get a quote for the cover. David's sequel, Nigella Lawson Saved My Life, is due to be published soon, but we thought it would be great to talk a little bit about Paul Weller and his life, so David is with us now. Hello there, how are you?
Hello, Russell, how are you?
Yeah, great, thanks for coming in.
Not at all. I brought you a little...
You brought me a bottle of wine.
I brought us a little bottle of wine because it's Friday and you can't have a Friday lunchtime without a little tipple, can you? So there you go.
Chuck one over. Cheers, my friend. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Excellent.
Very good.
Yeah,
good
it is.
health.
You're the first person who have ever done that, which is...
Well, I hope I won't be the last because
So do I.
wine drinking at lunchtime is a very essential part of everyday life, don't you
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you do your best work in the afternoon?
I always do my best work.
Yeah.
Always do my best work. I always try my best and I always do my best.
So, born and brought up, let's start right at the start here. Born at West Bridgeford, Nottingham.
West Bridgeford, yeah, absolutely, in the shadow of the Trent Bridge cricket ground.
Yeah.
Because you're a Midlander as well, aren't
Yeah,
you? You're
Derby.
from Derby.
Yeah.
And so we've got Brian Clough in common, haven't we?
We certainly do, yeah.
My
do you know
dad
what?
used to cut his hair.
Did he really?
Yeah, I think Clough was at Forest till about 75, wasn't he? Something like that.
Yeah.
And my father was a barber, and we grew up in West Bridgeford. And I'm saying a lot. I'll need to have another drink. Hold
You
on.
have another sip. The thing is, they renamed there's the road between Derby and Nottingham, in case you don't know, it's the A52, right? That's the
Yes.
thing. Now, they renamed it Brian Clough Way.
That's right.
But my argument was it should only be Brian Clough Way, the bit from Derby to Nottingham, and not the other way round.
That's very good.
Yeah, but they never did.
No,
they never took
well,
it on.
you
I
know,
put it to
that's
the council.
local
So your dad was a barber then, so
Yeah.
you grew up in the barber shop, did you?
I grew up in absolutely. Spinning around on the chair, all of that, and the sterilising cabinet, and those little wicks. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
You know, you could singe the back of your hair,
Yeah.
and a strap, and a cutthroat razor, and all of that. And so I've always liked image and hair, and
Yeah.
that's what the connection was, really.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it was quite actually it was really happy there. I get the sense it was a happy place to be, but then the move north happened,
Well,
and that
yeah,
was
that's-
was really disruptive for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was happy. I'm not just staring down the kaleidoscope of nostalgia.
Yeah.
And it all being twinkly and bright, but it was a different time then. You
Yeah.
know, of course, it was a different time. I mean, it was my birthday 2 days ago, and I'm 45 now, and I can't believe it. You know, my next significant birthday is 50, and I remember my mum giving me 2p, a 2p piece, and saying, "Right, just go to Len Needham's, will you, and get a pound of new potatoes." And I was, I don't know, 7 or something, and thinking to myself, how can you buy a pound of new potatoes for 2p? You know?
Yeah.
So it was a different era, everything was different. But no, of course it was happy. And moving to Leeds, well, you know, it's Leeds, isn't it?
So
It's going to upset anyone.
It was a different. So whereabouts in Leeds did you move to?
We moved to Garforth.
Right.
Or Garforth. We moved to
Garforth, as
Garforth.
it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and it used to be quite posh then,
Yeah.
but it isn't anymore. I went through
On the train.
No, I actually went through in the car about 18 months ago, and it's just, you know, charity shop hell, isn't it? Frankly, you talk about the living dead earlier. God, they're living dead in Garforth just a little bit.
So does it scare you to go back now?
Oh, I wouldn't go back now. You can never go. I've decided that you can never go back.
Right, not even to West Bridgeford.
Oh, you can go back to West Bridgeford.
Yeah,
Because that's different, isn't it?
it's different.
West Bridgeford doesn't change at all. It's lovely.
Was it tough?
My uncle's got a brewery in West Bridgeford now.
A brewery? What,
Yeah.
microbrewery?
Yeah, it's called the Magpie Brewery, and they
Wow.
brew some cracking stuff down there.
Brilliant.
Uncle Nick and his friends.
Wow, so there it is. Well, that's nice to have one of those in the family, isn't
Yeah, absolutely.
it? Yeah. So you come up here. What kind of... Before you discovered Paul Weller, right,
Yeah.
prior to the modern world coming into your life...
Yes, mate.
what was sort of your taste when it came to things like music? What were you exposed? Because your mum was sort of... It was Beatles and Stones and things.
Yeah, Mum was big Beatles fan. Dad was Sinatra. What are you typing?
I'm just typing a message to the guy next door.
Oh,
That's
right,
what I'm doing.
okay.
It's about something a little later on, is what I'm doing. So feel free to carry on.
Very good. No, Mum was a big Beatles fan. Kate Bush was out. She was very new.
Mm-hmm.
David Soul was very new. and David Essex was very big, and Bay City Rollers and all of that. But it was just wallpaper, really.
Yeah. Nothing that moved you, nothing that grabbed you, nothing that got you.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. No. Until we moved north, and when we moved north, that was when I think it was a time of crisis, because family moves, off you go. I mean, it's not a real crisis compared to some things that people go through, but going to Leeds again, it's quite serious. From the Midlands coming up north, it was quite an upset. And then one day I just discovered the Jam, and it was like opening up a door and stepping out into a great big beautiful world, bathed in sunlight, and it gave meaning and everything. And those days, I sound so old, man. God. Anyway, those days you didn't just buy into a song; you bought into the haircut and the clothes and the shoes and the look and the politics, and you made your own little gangs. It was different.
There's one thing. You talk about it in the book. You describe a moment when you decide that. I mean, you associated with Paul Weller, right? You looked at this guy. I mean, he for you was it, right? And you're looking at him now. If you got a dad who's a barber, chances are your hair will be as your dad wants it to be.
Oh, that's a very good
most
point.
of your upbringing.
Yeah,
and you make the decision. You're going to do your own hair here.
Yeah, you're quite the psychoanalyst, aren't you? It was a good point. Yeah, absolutely. I think that was part of the breakaway, part of that pubescent thing. It's like, right, I'm not in your shadow anymore. So to misquote Pete Townsend, the parting on the left becomes the parting on the right.
Yeah. And you shaved it though, or you did your best.
I didn't. I ironed it.
You
I ironed it. Well, I say I ironed it. My friend Richard Bowerman, he ironed it for me, and the consequences were disastrous, to say the least. I've got this. You got a cowlick?
Yes. Yeah.
I've got a cowlick here, and can you see that there?
Yeah.
And when my hair gets long, it just goes up in a big.
You can really see it,
just
right?
Like a retard, complete.
We apologise for that if you're listening. to that
do we? Okay. Sorry about it. It doesn't look good. So it wasn't beneficial.
It doesn't look the great.
It doesn't look the best.
You didn't look that much like Paul Weller.
No. So my friend Richard ironed it, and we decided that we'd put up a level of defence.
Yeah.
To iron out any chances of injury.
Yes.
And I think it was the sports page of the Daily Mirror, which we used as a barrier, as a bit of defence, and it didn't turn out well. All I can say is that the nurses at LGI were very, very helpful and very welcoming.
Were you honest with them? Did you tell them exactly what had happened and
Absolutely,
why you were doing it?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose if you're honest with them, they can help you with that.
Well, honesty's the best policy, I think. Yeah. When you're dealing with the National Health Service.
What was it about the Jam? What was it about the music and the lyrics, and what was it about what they did that spoke to you so much? Have you figured that out?
I think emotion comes into it.
Yeah.
And they sang about everyday stuff. Answering this stuff now sounds like a cliche, but like all cliches, it's true. It's true. And they sang about everything in your world. It was like holding a mirror up to your world.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, it just sucked you in, and you could see yourself reflected in lyrics and on posters. And it gave you an attitude as well, not in a chippy kind of way, but in a it gave you something to hold on to, and it wasn't just a Weller thing. I mean, the book, The Modfather, My Life with Paul Weller, isn't just about the Jam and the Style Council and Paul Weller. It's about anyone who ever had a poster on a wall. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, school when I in the early 1980s, in Garforth Comp, you'd get Watty from The Exploited walking past. You'd get Deborah Harry. You'd get the Dead Kennedys walking past. Adamant.
Yeah. Adamant, who was a woman.
Adamant, who was... there was a girl...
Julie, wasn't it?
Yeah. She came to a very sticky end.
Right, okay.
Yeah, we'll gloss over that.
So people would look like... And you've got all of this walking around you.
Yeah, I suppose it was like Pop Idol, but without...
Any fame.
Or
any money.
Or any direction or any sense of anything, really. Gosh. So, apart from music, theatre was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
drama. I got the drama bug, big style.
Yeah, because it's about telling stories with you. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
definitely.
I think it's about the storytelling. Whether that be it through like music or be it through theatre, I get the sense that the thing that engages you is the telling of stories.
You've got to have the telling of a story.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I was asked at a very early age, at 14.
Yeah.
My drama. We were talking about him the other day. My drama teacher, the fantastically named Marshall Safferson.
Right.
Okay, so it's Garforth. It's 1980.
Marshall Safferson.
And hello, I'm Marshall Safferson. You couldn't make it up. You couldn't write this. Marshall Safferson. Okay, and he looked like a tall Dustin Hoffman.
Wow. Okay.
So who happened to be living in France? So take Dustin Hoffman, make him 6 foot tall, give him a lavender lamb's wool sweater, tossed casually over his shoulders, and
right.
that's Marshall Safferson. And Marshall Safferson said to me, he said, "I'll tell you what, David, this is after we'd done The Boyfriend, which is the musical which you read about in the book." He said, "David, I'm going to ask you to do yourself a favour." I said, "What's that, Mr. Safferson?" He said, "Oh, call me Marshall, darling. Call me Marshall." He said, "I can get you an audition for the Manchester Youth Theatre," which in those days was a feeder for the National Youth Theatre.
Yeah.
And you went there and you could go straight into Coronation Street, and the studios were literally just round the corner. All of that. And I applied. I auditioned. It was over in Manchester, obviously. And I did 2 set pieces. I did a piece from the Caucasian Chalk Circle, and then I did a piece from Peter Nicholls' brilliant black comedy, The National Health.
Right.
And in it's a bit like the BBC. They don't call it an interview; they call it a board. Do you have a board? And there were 6 of them behind this.
Right, you've got to perform
big
for
table.
these 6 people.
Yeah, so I had to perform for these 6 people over in Manchester, 14 years of age, and my mum and dad humoured me, God bless them. They were like, "Right, fine, off you go." And I think I went on the train. Anyway, I did my pieces. I did my pieces from the National Health and the Caucasian Chalk Circle, and at the end of it, the head of the board, called Hazel, I think it was Hazel Brown, said to me, she said, "David, that was lovely. If we asked you to be a spear carrier, do you think you'd like to come and be a spear carrier?" And I don't know what spear carrier was.
Right. So for those who don't know, explain.
Well, it's somebody who doesn't speak. It's an extra. It's the extra's extra.
Right. Okay.
You walk on.
You make up the numbers on the stage.
You bet.
Really.
Absolutely. You're a crowd fella.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I didn't know what a spear carrier was. I didn't know what a spear carrier was. So I stood there and I said, "Are you taking?" Yeah. And they went, "No." And I thought, right, okay. And they said, "Right, okay, thank you, David, goodbye." Oh, I've blown it. I've absolutely blown it. Anyway, blow me down, Mr. Walker. Blow me down. 2 weeks later, letter through the post.
You're in.
You're in.
Wow.
So that was my thing, drama. And then my dad, God bless him.
He said no.
Well, exactly. He said no. He said no, and he didn't let me go. And even though I've got such fond memories of my father, I loved him more than life itself, but I still can't forgive him because he didn't let me go.
Yeah.
And
too protective?
Yeah, he said it was all full of flower pot men.
Right.
It's all full of too many flower pot men and druggies, which it probably was, but if either of my daughters want to do anything, I'm never ever going to stop them, because I wouldn't want them 30 years down the line thinking, "Do you know what?
I could have done this.
I could have done that. I could have been a contender."
There's a great film. That should be in a film, that.
Exactly. And so, in the same way that Hitler's father stopped him from being an oil painter,
yes,
he wanted to be a painter of oils.
Yeah.
He wanted to be an oil painter, and Hitler's father said to him, "Do you know what, Adolf? Put down those brushes, my boy." And look what happened to him.
Exactly. If only the art had stayed part of his life.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not saying I've got any burning desire to invade Poland or get down to Comet and buy a ruddy big oven.
Right.
But, it hasn't offended me. It hasn't hurt me that much. But I would like to think that in the future,
I do apologise for that joke, by the
dreams-
way, if you
people's
possibly
dreams
get
are-
offended. But do you feel like your father crushed a dream then for you?
Yeah, definitely.
So how long did it take you to come back from that in the other side?
I don't think it ever does, really, because, I was sitting watching the BAFTAs the other night, and I thought to myself, do you know what? I could have been there.
I'm better than you, and you.
I wouldn't go that far, but, Russell, we've all got unrequited dreams, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well,
that's it. Well, yes, but you have unrequited dreams, but that doesn't stop you achieving other things. Do you know what I mean?
You should be my therapist.
Yeah, I could be. So I feel I'd make a lot of money from you, David. But so in terms of that, how did you after that? What was the next step for you then? Where did you decide to go and things that you decided to do?
Well, I decided to leave school and go and work in a bookshop, and I went to Leeds University. They were my university years. I went to Ostick's University Bookshop up on Blenheim Terrace.
Yeah.
They were next to a wine merchant, and they were my university years. I completely blagged it. I was 17, had enough of school. I thought, right, that's it. And I applied to Leeds University Bookshop, which were owned by the Ostick brothers, David and Paul Ostick, and they were the most fantastic years. While all my friends went off to uni, I went to Leeds University Bookshop, and so I was working and living the student lifestyle and immersing myself in Molière and Maupassant and Émile Zola and Baudelaire, and reading great French literature and hanging out with fantastic female students and having a living wage.
Yeah.
And so getting up and travelling to work on a bus and leaving school, and it was so fulfilling.
Opened your eyes, opened your mind.
Yeah, just great literature and great comedy and great humour, and knowing that nothing's beyond a joke, and knowing that just opening a page, just opening a page of any book and seeing words just placed like pieces of a jigsaw.
Well, there's another. That's a revelatory moment, isn't it? That?
Yeah, that's absolutely. That's your road to Damascus. Isn't
There's
it?
the big thing. Wow! I tell you what. Hold that thought. We're going to get some travel news, and we'll be back with more. Okay, a few minutes time. So our guest this afternoon is David Lyons, and we're talking about, well, amongst other things, really, his life. Also, the book, The Modfather, My Life with Paul Weller. And we talked about the education you're getting in this. I want to leap straight into something here. You were given advice by Victoria Wood.
I was given advice by the great Victoria Wood in my university years at Leeds University Bookshop. She was doing a signing session for a book called It's Up to You, Porky, which was a collection of her sketches.
Yeah.
And she came to the Hedgerow branch of Ostick's. I don't know what it is now. It's probably a sports locker or something like that. But it used to be a very nice bookshop. And I went down and helped out because I wanted to meet her. She was all massive. She
was a star by this point, right?
Yeah.
She was an enormous name, right?
Yeah. I think she's always been... I can't imagine...
life without her.
I can't imagine a time when Victoria Wood wasn't an enormous name. Can you? I mean, I literally can't remember when she appeared. I think she's always been there. She didn't build, did she? She just went bang her
star.
and Julie Walters, and
she's held the same position now, sort of in the golden, the top lady of British comedy, really.
Yeah, she'd make a hell of a prime minister, don't you think?
I think she would, actually.
I think she'd be brilliant.
I think she'd be pretty top-notch at that.
She'd be... Invade what? No,
I'm too busy. I've got Kendall cake to eat.
Exactly. No, and she gave me a piece... I said to her, Victoria... I said, Miss Wood... I think she was with the great Soprendo back then. I think he was there. And I said, Miss Wood, I'm terribly sorry to bother you, but I want to be a writer. And she went, right, okay, jolly good. I said, can you give me a piece of advice? She said, yeah, I'll give you a piece of advice. She said, what's your name? I said, my name's David Lyons. She said, right, I'll tell you what your advice is, David Lyons. She said, it's never a biscuit. It's never just a biscuit. I said, what do you mean? She went, no, it's never just a biscuit. It's always a hobnob. And I thought, okay, it's detail. It's always the detail.
Yeah.
It's always the detail.
So
great piece of advice.
You get that advice, what do you do with it?
Well, you remember it.
Yeah.
You remember it, and it's never a bicycle. It's always a rally shopper.
Right.
You just got to paint that little picture.
Okay.
You got to paint that picture.
So did you think to yourself, right, okay, when you get a piece of advice like from Victoria Wood, so you're going to take notice, you're going to know this is it, you say, thank you very much, Ms. Wood, and you walk away, and you go and you start you
open your eyes.
you think, right, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put it into action.
Exactly. It's never a bus. It's always number 63.
Yeah.
You know, it's never a film he was watching. It was always an early print of Serpico. You know.
So, and you got it then.
Absolutely,
When you start using it, you get it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then much later in life, I was very lucky to be introduced by my publisher to the writer David Nobbs.
Yeah.
And he's been a fabulous mentor and a great writing partner. And we adapted together The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perrin. We did that for the West End.
Yeah.
We took the first 2 series. And what happens with it, we don't know. But again, always the detail. Those just being able to peer and stare through those little chinks of sunlight into a bigger world that opens up acres of somebody else's life. That's the key.
Working with David Nobbs, I mean, to adapt something that was very well loved, I mean, that's a pretty big challenge, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a massive challenge. But, you know, lots of people played Hamlet.
Yeah.
You just got to do it in your own image, man. Don't be daunted.
You got Laurence Olivier, you got Leonard Rossiter.
Absolutely. You couldn't get a piece of paper between the two of them.
Well, actually, no, I don't think you could.
I'll tell you what, Miss Jones, no, you certainly couldn't.
I'll tell you what, hold that thought again, we'll get some headlines, and I'll be back with you in a second. Excellent stuff. It's BBC Radio York at 2:30. Here with the headline, Katie Hall. Our guest this afternoon, David Lyons. David, I want to find out, we know you were in West Bridgeford, we know that you were in Garforth.
Yes.
And these days, where are you? North Yorkshire through and through.
Yeah, I'm in Hubie, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in
the
Hubie.
Promised Land.
Yeah. How many Style Council references can you get in today? I heard you do Blink and you'll miss it earlier, which is... no, Hubie is the Promised Land. It's a lovely village. And it's all good.
And it works for you, that village life?
Absolutely, it works for me. My girls go to school there, and we're all happy. Yeah, it's good.
And in terms of the variety of stuff that you write these days, I mean, we mentioned that. I mean, there's this book. There is Nigella Lawson Saved My Life.
Yes, which is currently with my publishers who are trying to work out what to do with it.
Right. Okay. What's the basic premise of that? It's an intriguing title.
Yeah. Well, it's about how food is the glue that sticks us all together.
Right.
And in times of there's a pattern here emerging, isn't there? It's about having a prop to hold on to in times of crisis. So it's about it's a homage to my late mother. It's a portrait of a modern family going through a time of crisis. It's about how do you know what it is? It's just dawned on me. It's comfort food for the soul, what this book is. It's about religion. It's about faith. And it's about how you find it and how you lose it. It's about coming through and going out the other side. And it's about finding yourself through food.
Autobiographical?
Absolutely.
You found and lost faith?
God, you're good. Have I found and lost faith? I believe in God massively, but I don't believe in religion.
Okay.
In fact, funny enough, as I was coming down Bootham to get into the car park, I'm sure I saw John Sentamu scampering across the road.
Well, he's
I thought he'd probably be in the palace with his feet up watching Loose Women or something, but no, he's out amongst the people. And faith's a funny thing, isn't it? You kind of caught me off with that one, but no, I haven't lost it.
You've still got it?
Yeah, I'm quite religious, actually.
Religious?
Yeah, I like a churchyard. I'll tell you what, I prefer a funeral to a wedding.
Why?
Because the emotion.
Yes.
I much prefer a funeral to a wedding. I love a good funeral.
Do you find that weddings are bizarrely... I know this might sound like sacrilege to some people, but weddings are bizarrely flat.
Yeah, I know
experiences.
what you mean.
They're great for the bride and groom.
Like Christmas Day, it's a forced...
Yes.
You must put your... No, but I mean, I don't know. It's a long time since I've been to a wedding. Which was the last wedding?
The last wedding I went to was... When was it? Easter last year. That was my last wedding.
Fantastic.
And that's about as much as I can handle.
Funeral?
Funeral. A good few years ago for a funeral.
Yeah. I bet you're missing that, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, we do a good funeral.
On the subject of religion, you were talking earlier about somebody on the Sunday show looking for a new Jesus.
Yeah, Andrew Lloyd Webber. He's looking for a new person to play Jesus.
I think I'd be brilliant.
I think you would. It'd bring a new twist to the show, wouldn't it?
I think I'd nail Christ.
Oh, man, alive! Do you know what? It's you wanted a Paul Weller song, right? This is so you wanted The Pebble and the Boy. So tell us briefly why you wanted this one.
Well, funny enough, we go back to Ostics because Spike Milligan came to do a signing, and this very emotional song is a ballad, and it's based on Spike Milligan,
right?
And a poem that he wrote about what would happen if he bumped into himself as a young boy on a beach. So the grown man walking on a beach bumps into himself. He faces the child that he was. And if you've got one piece of advice to give that child, to give yourself in the past, what would it be?
So this is Paul Weller, a live version of The Pebble and the Boy. So there's Paul Weller and The Pebble and the Boy. It's a lovely song. I haven't heard it in a long time.
It's a great song, and I'll tell you what, Russell, I think the live version that you chose is even better than the studio version. It's
just a bit more feel to it, isn't it? You know, the atmosphere.
Really atmospheric.
Yeah,
lovely
the atmosphere. You've chosen a couple, like I said, we chose a couple. Something that I'm thrilled that you chose.
Well, thank you very much,
Is
sir.
what you've gone for the second one, right?
I have, yeah.
Okay. Let's enjoy this, and when we hear this is it for you. Thank you very much for coming in, David.
You're very welcome, Russell. Thanks very much.
And the book is called The Modfather, My Life with Paul Weller, and it's published by Arrow Books by David Lyons, and an intriguing glimpse into how one person's music and everything else can influence a life. Thank you very much, David.